David was an ordinary man, living in a peaceful and serene village. However, one night, everything changed. As he lay in a deep sleep in his bed, a gust of wind gently tapped his window. This sound seeped into David's dream, or rather, his nightmare. In his dream, David found himself in a dark, endless forest. The wind created a melancholy melody among the trees, with leaves and branches dancing in a frightful manner. David felt as though he was fleeing from something unknown, feeling only an instinctual fear. Whispers brought by the wind reached David's ears. They seemed to whisper his name over and over. David, David. He tried to locate the direction of the sound, but with every step, the whispers grew louder, and his fear multiplied. As David progressed in his dream, the whispers of the wind began to form coherent sentences. Do not wake up. Stay here. David could sense the danger behind these words, but he couldn't wake up. The forest in his dream was pulling him further in, distancing him even more from the real world. David found a house in his dream. It was old, abandoned, and eerie. However, he had no other option but to enter, as the whispers of the wind had now turned into screams, pushing him inside. In the house, David found himself in an even more terrifying scenario. Ghosts emerging from mirrors tried to talk to him, trying to convince him to stay in this horrifying world. David approached one of the mirrors and locked eyes with the ghost inside. The ghost looked exactly like David, but its eyes were completely white. The ghost said, "You are mine. You will never wake up again," and began to pull David into the mirror. David resisted with all his might, but the ghost was much stronger. Just as he was being pulled into the mirror, in the real world, David's body jerked and remained motionless, never to wake up again. David's body lay motionless in the real world, but within the mirror, a different story unfolded. His consciousness was trapped in a parallel spectral realm, where the laws of physics and time seemed distorted. The ghostly version of David, with those hauntingly white eyes, stared back at him, a sinister smile stretching across its face. "Welcome, David," it whispered, its voice echoing through the seemingly boundless, dimly lit corridor that stretched out behind the mirror. "This is where you'll stay, forever." David, although paralyzed by fear, felt a spark of defiance ignite within him. He wasn't ready to surrender to this spectral doppelganger. He glanced around, noticing that the corridor was lined with countless mirrors, each reflecting a different version of reality. In one mirror, he saw himself living a peaceful life in the village, oblivious to the horrors of this spectral world. In another, he saw his own body, lifeless and cold, being discovered by his loved ones in the real world. The emotions that flooded through him were a chaotic mix of fear, sadness, and anger. David turned to face his ghostly counterpart, his voice barely above a whisper. "Why are you doing this? What do you want from me?" The ghostly David chuckled, the sound sending shivers down David's spine. "I am what you might call a trapped soul, David. I've been stuck in this realm for eternity, and the only way for me to find even a semblance of peace is to bring others into this abyss. Your fear, your despair, it's the only sustenance I have." David, absorbing the malevolence of his spectral self, noticed a peculiar pattern. Each mirror seemed to vibrate slightly, resonating with the despair and fear that permeated this realm. An idea, desperate yet daring, formed in his mind. He spoke, his voice steadier. "If it's fear and despair you feed on, then perhaps a taste of hope and defiance will be your undoing." With that, David mustered every ounce of courage within him and charged at the ghostly figure. The entity, taken aback by David's sudden bravery, momentarily lost its composure. David collided with it, and a blinding light enveloped them. The mirrors along the corridor shattered, shards of glass raining down, each piece reflecting the courageous act of defiance. The ghostly entity screamed, its form disintegrating within the blinding light. David felt a sudden jolt, and his eyes fluttered open in the real world. He was back in his bed, his body soaked in sweat, the first light of dawn peeking through his window. He was alive. The village, oblivious to the supernatural battle that had taken place, continued its peaceful existence. David, however, was forever changed. He had stared into the abyss, battled his own spectral self, and emerged victorious. But deep down, he knew that the spectral realm was not destroyed, merely disrupted, and the countless souls trapped there were still lingering, waiting for their moment to whisper through the winds once more. In the desolate expanses of the Arctic, where the sun barely kisses the horizon and the moon dominantly illuminates the icy landscapes, two unlikely creatures forged an alliance. Lycan, with his thick fur and powerful limbs, thrived in the pursuit of seals, while Vladira, ethereal and resilient, silently stalked the mighty polar bears, the only creatures with blood potent enough to sustain her immortal existence. Their paths crossed under the ghostly glow of the Arctic moon, where predator instincts were momentarily paused by a mutual acknowledgement of solitude and respect for one another's hunting prowess. Lycan, the werewolf, roamed the icy plains with a pack-like mentality despite being a lone wanderer, while Vladira, the vampire, saw in him a reflection of her own eternal isolation. An unspoken agreement was formed, born from mutual respect and a shared understanding of the solitude that their natures imposed upon them. Lycan would share his hunted seals, providing Vladira with a respite from the dangers of hunting polar bears, while Vladira, in return, would share her polar bear prey with him, offering a variation in sustenance. Their alliance, however, was tested when a group of vampire hunters, drawn by tales of the Arctic vampire, invaded their icy domain. Lycan and Vladira, once predators, now became the prey, forced to navigate the treacherous terrains, not for sustenance, but for survival. In the relentless Arctic, with its blinding blizzards and deceptive tranquility, the hunters became the hunted. Lycan, with his keen sense of smell and knowledge of the terrains, and Vladira, with her supernatural strength and agility, turned the tables on the intruders. An unexpected bond was forged in the fires of adversity, as Lycan and Vladira defended their domain, realizing that despite their solitary natures, alliance and friendship were strengths, not weaknesses. The hunters were eventually driven away, leaving Lycan and Vladira amidst the icy plains, under the ever-watchful Arctic moon, where their alliance blossomed into an unexpected friendship, proving that even in the harshest conditions, unity and friendship could prevail. In the aftermath of their victory against the hunters, Lycan and Vladira, once bound by a mere alliance for survival, now found themselves tethered by a profound friendship that neither expected to find in the desolate Arctic wilderness. Their days resumed with shared hunts and nights with stories whispered under the shimmering northern lights, each tale revealing more about their pasts and the solitude that had, until now, defined their existence. However, peace was a fleeting visitor in their lives. The expelled hunters, humiliated and defeated, spread tales of the Arctic's supernatural inhabitants far and wide, attracting not only more hunters but also curious wanderers and thrill-seekers. The tranquil solitude of the Arctic was shattered, replaced by the echoes of intrusion that reverberated through the icy plains. Lycan and Vladira, determined to protect the serenity of their frostbound home, found themselves facing a dilemma. They could fight as they had before, defending their territory from every intruder, or they could seek a new sanctuary, free from the disturbances of the outside world. One evening, as the twilight painted the ice in hues of pink and purple, Vladira spoke of an ancient legend known only to a few in the supernatural world. It spoke of a hidden realm, accessible only through a portal that appeared once every century under a celestial alignment. This realm, untouched by mankind, offered sanctuary to creatures of the night, away from the prying eyes and piercing stakes of hunters. Lycan, his eyes reflecting the colors of the twilight, saw the longing in Vladira's eyes and understood the unspoken yearning for peace that lingered in her heart. He too desired a sanctuary, where the only sounds were the whispers of the wind and the rhythmic cadence of their breaths. And so, their new journey began, not as hunters, but as seekers of the hidden realm, guided by the fragments of the legend and the celestial map that adorned the Arctic sky. Lycan and Vladira ventured into the unknown, their paths illuminated by the ethereal glow of the northern lights. Their journey was fraught with challenges as they navigated through treacherous terrains, faced creatures of the night, and battled the elements that seemed determined to thwart their quest. Yet, their friendship, forged in the icy fires of the Arctic, remained unbroken, becoming their guiding light in the darkest moments. After what seemed like an eternity, they stood before the portal, its shimmering light reflecting the myriad colors of the universe, a silent invitation to a peaceful existence. With hearts intertwined by friendship and eyes gleaming with hope, Lycan and Vladira stepped into the portal, leaving behind the icy plains of the Arctic for the promise of sanctuary within the hidden realm. In the Arctic, the northern lights continued to dance, whispering tales of the werewolf and the vampire who sought sanctuary beneath the celestial tapestry, forever etching their story into the frost-bound eternity of the icy plains. In the hidden realm, Lycan and Vladira found themselves amidst an endless meadow, where flowers of every conceivable color bloomed, and the sky, a perpetual twilight, bathed the land in a soft, gentle light. The tranquility of the realm was a stark contrast to the harsh, unforgiving landscapes of the Arctic, yet it held a serene beauty that whispered of peace and sanctuary. As they ventured deeper into the realm, they discovered creatures of various mythologies and folklore, all living in harmonious coexistence, away from the threats and fears of the human world. Here, in this sanctuary, they were free to be their true selves, without the need to defend their existence or hide in the shadows. Lycan and Vladira, once bound by the struggles of survival, now found themselves navigating through a different challenge, finding their place in a world where survival was no longer a daily battle. The scars of their past, both visible and hidden, were reminders of the adversities they had overcome, and adapting to this peaceful existence became their new journey. In the heart of the meadow, they built a modest dwelling, where the walls echoed with laughter, and the rooms were filled with the warmth of friendship. Lycan, with his keen senses and strength, became a guardian of the realm, protecting its inhabitants from the rare, yet possible, threats that managed to find their way into the sanctuary. Vladira, with her wisdom and eternal perspective, became a mediator, resolving conflicts and ensuring that the harmony of the realm remained undisturbed. Yet, amidst the peace and tranquility, there lingered a silent acknowledgement of the world they had left behind. The Arctic, with its ruthless beauty and icy solitude, forever etched in their beings. It was in the quiet moments, under the soft glow of the twilight sky, that they remembered the whispering winds and shimmering northern lights of their former home. One day, a ripple of disturbance echoed through the realm as a wounded creature stumbled through the portal, a creature of the night, like them, seeking sanctuary from the relentless pursuit of hunters. Lycan and Vladira reminded of their own past, welcomed them with open arms, offering shelter and solace within the peaceful confines of the realm. The arrival of the wounded creature was a stark reminder that, while they had found peace, there were others, in various corners of the world, still battling for survival, still seeking sanctuary from the threats that lingered in the shadows. Lycan and Vladira, with the memories of their struggles still vivid in their minds, vowed to keep the portal open, offering a beacon of hope and sanctuary to those who sought it, ensuring that the tales of the Arctic, of survival, alliance, and friendship would continue to echo through the realms, whispering tales of hope to those who needed it most.